Okay, we shall now be live. Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another Arknights live stream. Of course, today's live stream going to be focusing on the last of the Inferno stages where we left off yesterday. Which, I will say this. The only difficulty of this Inferno stage so far is that they hit at hard as fuck. Aside from that, overall, I don't want to say it's easy, because if you know what you're doing, it's easy. That's how I view it. And if you 6 stars, it's practically meaningless, almost, to an extent. Not all the time. I feel like there's some scenarios where you have to be a little cheeky in how you go about it. Some people try to make the point that it was really easy, bro. Do something specific. Yeah, this is an extreme, by the way. That's okay. You can have that opinion if you think it's that easy. But if I see you using 6 stars, your opinion is irrelevant. Even though I will say 6 stars don't always as broken as certain content creators make, I can understand how strong they are and how much of a difference it takes to deal with stages. And if people are saying that I'm bad or this is really easy, bro, insinuating that I'm bad and I'm not even using 6 stars, and I have a full, like, built 6-star team, I have like 96% of operators in the game, you need to recheck reality, okay? You need to recheck reality, because clearly the person is purposely at the point they are with a max squad of 4 of 5 stars, maxed out almost, not all of them. Clearly, they could probably do it with 6 stars easily. I think it's very obvious that's what's gonna happen. I am a little bit peeved still on that, but that doesn't really matter because we're doing Inferno stages. Well, also there's 1 day remaining. I did go through all the secret place. I will say this. If I knew the way they did this, I would have mentioned it during the survey. This was the best part of this episode. Because this is the only time we actually have voice acting for text. It's like, bro. And the fact that it's translated, meaning that there's probably different versions for the different versions that you're main focused on, and it probably syncs to what main VA you're going with. The fact that this is not in the story yet is annoying. So annoying. It's like, yes, even I acknowledge that VAs help a lot. Are they absolutely necessary? Not always. But sometimes it does help. And I think this was the best part of the story here. I'm mixed with HUD in front. I understand what they're kind of going with it, but I'm really mixed, and I think it's like a reattempt at integrated strategies, but without using operators. And just some stat values. That's how I view Hidden Front. Let's remove the whole, like, relic system, and you essentially got random RNG system. Honestly, it's what it is. Like, to me, it's probably the least great thing about this event. Well, I think Secret Place, ironically, is the best of this event, or this episode 14. Now, I did kind of talk about the story at the very tail end. I do not believe this is the end at all, even with the next story, the fact that they didn't do another main story. I believe they are doing a year or half a year break because it's going to be the next act. So we're now at, like, we're at the main, that's the best way to say it, because there's 2 different ways. Fuck. Because the way that they go about the story is you have an arc, and then you have acts. which are like main climaxes of that story. And for Arc 1, I was trying to remember Arc, I don't know, that's why I was having issues there. You had 2 different acts. I think that's what's going to happen with pretty much episode 15, so on and so forth. It will still be in the Victorian War arc, but it will be the start of Act 4. That's what I believe, and I think pretty much the bridge, the gap to it, is Siege. I still think shit's still going down, but I think everyone's retreated for now, and that's what I'm gonna assume. Because we still have plans to deal with Thyrsus. You still technically have the Mimic dudes. You have the Nishilam group of people. You have technically the vampire dude's still alive, but they kind of retconned to an extent that he's dead. Like, they didn't really go in, they didn't explore too much into what would happen to someone that would go into a different alternate time, space, universe from a god. And we don't know what the fuck happened to him. And it's just like, oh, he's dead. That's like my only issue with this episode, with the fact of what they did for Dracula. So it's like, I don't know how I feel about that, but I think I understand what they're trying to go for. Essentially, even though he's not dead, he's considered dead, so it's like, okay. So, but his kind of group is still alive? Maybe? I mean, we might see that for the main story. So that's what I'm thinking when it comes to the story. I can talk about the main story all I want, but we need to get through the Inferno stages. I will mention this right now. We will not be streaming all day, so if we do not finish this today, that's a very good chance. I'm not saying it's a complete guaranteed chance, but there's a good chance. Also, at the same time, if I feel like the game does way too much damage, I will consider using 6 stars. Just because, as much as I would like to try to bang my head against the wall with enemies kind of one-shotting my characters, personally, I'm gonna try my best to do it without 6 stars. And then we'll go from there. Nightingale may end up being used for this episode. These last few episodes are kind of funny, but that's kind of what happened in episode 8. So, I'm not guaranteeing anything, but there is a good chance that I'll probably use, and you may end up using 6 stars, depending upon how things go. I think this team works, because I'm looking at Morgan. I think Morgan can, if it's like similar to the normal, like the story stage Revenant, Morgan's gonna be really good at the beginning. Oh.
We're counting on you again today, little apple. 能力を生かした戦術でお願い。卑怯なやつでもいい。ターゲットロックオン。
Yeah, that's the issue. Damn, my lights being stupid. Okay, I mean, we're gonna restart, but I just kind of want to see what we're dealing with. We're dealing with actually kind of a big annoyance, actually. At the very start, dealing with these 2 guys, I think my best bet is literally just go ham on Vanguards.
will be a path paved with sacrifice.
主の名を掲げ、この旗の下へ集え。こんなセリフを一度言ってみたかったんだ。
I will stand guard here.
We're counting on you again today, little apple.
問題ない。これで分かったでしょ。
We're fighting you guys. Then please do your best this job, or I'll be really bored. Yoshi to shimashou. 一騎白雷星砲、縦貫砲炎参加。
We're counting on you again today, little apple.
Humbly raised joy.
いや悪いね。僕は別に。
I remember your face as well now. If you're still hesitating, I can give some advice. Humbly awaiting your command. On standby.
I need to kill this dude.
Whew, almost dozed off. I have to get serious now. ここ。 The shit is all shot.
So do I have to? I am like really confused. Which one do I have to hit? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Solid positioning. 位置につき一騎白雷星砲、縦貫砲炎参加。
どうすりゃいいんですね。
Oh, it's right over there. I see.
One bullet each. Ichi ni tsukimashita. I come from the depths of the ocean. Humbly await. There's no escape. Thunderstorm.
I'm gonna have to reposition Lachlan.
Show me what you got there. Thunder roar.
There's no mate. I'm on your right.
Get behind me.
All right. Who am I?
Charging.
Holy fuck. Insane. Insanity.
Thunderstorm.
どうすりゃいい？暴力じゃ何も解決できないけど、お前を料理するには十分だぜ。
Solid positioning.
Yeah, the damage output I need is absolutely ridiculous.
Humbly return to the abyss. Charging. Watch. There's me. Hey up. Watch your left.
Yeah. I need a lot more DPS.
Emergency squad, retreat with the injured operator.
On top of the fact that you're also dealing with like
the enemy.
so much. Okay. Honestly, I don't know. The amount of damage you're gonna have to do. I might just go with Myrtle. And then I'm curious to see how Lynn does.
You tell me your ends. Just don't ask me my needs.
Take out Manticore.
To think they all still believe that.
Because I do kind of want to finish it, I am going to be going about this in a way that, you know, I'm going to beat this. Yes, I can come back to it. Well, I probably not.
On the battle plan.
He's going to be mostly my enemy killer.
I will stand guard here.
Yes, it will be over before you feel the pain.
I have to get serious now.
Get behind me. Don't be afraid.
プログラムアーツユニット Gather around me, guys! They come from the depths of the ocean. Ooh, almost dozed off. Let's put them 6 feet under.
Revitalize. Will the land shake with the land will forgive all in the end. But not now.
Okay, so no.
Light, heed me.
Watch, there's method to it, Wolf.
You'll have to try harder than that.
Blade will be over before you feel the pain.
No, I need a better plan.
Watch the shadow behind you. します。Watch, there's hope you don't win until you beat us all.
わかりました。
There is but a sigh at the very end.
Show me what you got there. 位置につき罪に裁きを。ご来光庁。
Yes.
On standby. Thunder roar. 位置につきました。
I'm not gonna be able to do anything about that.
Oh, Justy. Now, mate, I'm on your right. I'm here to help. プログラムロード完了しました。どうすりゃいい？俺が見えないだろ。
Get your fat butt out.
Alright, who am I hacking at?
Great.
Blade like face the tide.
Barely not living. Yeah, we're screwed.
よしとしましょう。
ここだここ。目の前真っ暗になってんのか。作戦行動中に問題が発生しました。システムを再起動してください。
Okay. There's not much I can really say except better placement. That's kind of honestly just that's just it. The thing is that at the very tail end, I need to deal with the fuckboys on top more. I just need to deal with both sides of fuckboys. And that's something I might have to take into consideration and just kind of say, fuck it.
All those I have yet to abandon.
Gather around me, guys. Target lock. Maybe let's try ambushing them.
Yeah, you go with that plan. I'll be raiding over here.
I shall cover you.
Ambushing is a great plan. I'm gonna go right here.
I will stand guard here.
Blade wetted again.
Gonna wait until those guys kill themselves. And then rock and roll!
There is but a sigh. Very end.
Let's put them 6 feet under. We're counting on you again today, little apple.
I'm with you. We will land ship with flame who forgive all land. But not now.
治療モード適用します。
Don't be afraid.
Alright, who am I happy now?
Okay. Next one should be here.
I come from the depths of the ocean.
Put you there. Yeah, I probably should use my skill more often.
Tide.
Oh, wait. There we go. We have enough. Okay, we kind of have enough time. Put you down.
I have a visual. よしとしな罪に裁きをご来光町
You want to talk? Too late. Most are not gone.
Like, heed me.
Okay, please. Thank you. I wish I could deal with them now. This is like, these guys are the biggest threat. The AoE dickness on full display. But we have better positioning here, so I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue.
Most are not gone. Shatter into pieces.
Yes. There is but a sigh. Very end.
Come on, what tesoro?
Got it.
That's good. By the way, like, this is not, like, a bad thing. I'm gonna have to wait until... Use my skill. Because I can use Lynn here, weaken a bit, and then get her charge her back.
Got it.
Yes. There is but a sigh. Very end.
Yoしとしましょう。
It seems like this is the most damage.
You'll have to try harder than that. Like, heed me.
Yeah, this does seem like it does the most damage. Nah, I need more healing.
Bravo. Now I want to crush them that much harder.
Well, I could probably move. Maybe. Okay, probably positioning. I'll just change positioning again. It's like I keep thinking to myself, yeah, no. No. Reality-wise, I think it's just positioning.
This will be a path paved with sacrifice.
The issue is this enough positioning?
I have yet to abandon.
Nope. Oh, there goes the position idea.
Emergency squad, retreat with the injured operators. Everyone who can still fight, follow me and hold back the enemy.
The issue is my healers are dying. If my healers don't die, we're perfectly fine. But they're dying. Honestly, I don't know what's the best position or choice. I like Ethan. I just... The issue is that we're kind of essentially in a crosshair right now, because you have the lasers on the right, and then on the left you're just like you have a lot of enemies coming through, especially tanky ones. You don't want to have your healers blocking them. I'm gonna have to put healers up further to the left.
This will be a path paved
Paid with sacrifice.
I'm here to help.
All those I have yet to abandon.
Ooh, I have to get serious now.
Honor must be defended. Get behind me.
Blade wetted again.
Don't be afraid.
初期化完了しました。
Yes, the sunlight will have your wing.
We're counting on you again today, little apple.
Let's put them 6 feet under.
Like, heed me.
プログラム起動します。
You're supposed to be facing upward, girl.
operators. Everyone who can still fight.
As I'm gonna
follow me and
pre-mention
hold
here,
back the enemy.
I'm not gonna spend all night doing this. So eventually I will beat it. How? Who knows? But I will beat it. And the game's not gonna like me. I'm just kidding. I'm acting like the game is a person at this point, but
もし仲間が一人急に姿を消してもパニクんなよ。I'm here to help.
I keep doing that. Well, whatever.
All those.
We have enough ways to get DP. I don't think DP has much of an issue. You do kind of do something or try to do something, but it's not as big of an issue.
Today, little apple.
We're gonna wait a bit.
Maybe let's
We can.
try ambushing them.
No.
アーツユニットチャージ中。
Get behind me. I'm with you.
Yes. There is but a sign at the very end.
Don't be afraid.
I have to get serious now. Watch the shadow behind me.
Don't be afraid.
Got it. You want to talk? Too late.
I'm with you.
I have to get serious now.
Don't be afraid.
I will stand guard here.
乗せたか? You are the one who woke me. Oh, just me.
Alright.
The next sap getting ducked out. Machete's all sharp. Alright, who am I hacking out?
Good shit, Mjolnir. For tanking that. Should have used my skill, but whatever.
Forgive all in the end,
Whatever.
but not now.
Blade
I could take into consideration using Ethan, like, here. Not as lucky binds at that last wave there. Okay, we should be able to put you down.
Light, heed me.
Yeah, I probably should use my skill here.
Reason to let you go. Don't have one? What a pity.
Revitalize.
アーツユニット起動します。
Stop. Yeah, I should just use my skill.
So this is what happens when you cross the line.
Yes.
go.
Got it. Mosedaka didn't think. So this is what happens when you cross the line.
I'm with you.
医療モード適用します。Gosh, there's method to a rule.
I'm with you. Revital.
Yeah, come on, Texas, Texas, not Texas.
Mosedaka shatter into pieces.
I'm with you.
Got it.
Probably boss will spawn in after this guy's dead. Or not. Huh? Yellow? Oh, hello. Boss? Oh, is this how much damage the boss is gonna do type deal?
Solid positioning.
Hello? Boss? There we go.
You'll have to try harder than that.
Mosedaka. Mosedaka shatter into pieces. どうすりゃ俺が見えないんだ。プログラム医療プロセス開始します。
Revital.
I care not for valueless ones.
Can you do it?
Blade with the sunlight will have to wait.
Don't be afraid.
Got it. Shatter into pieces.
Take you out, put you down.
There's no night, just try me.
Take you out, put you down.
Stand by.
I don't know if it's based off of damage.
It will be over before you feel the pain.
Okay. Bye-bye. There we go. Few changes of 6 stars.
Wow, incredible! I've got the urge to snap a formal salute show my respect.
Damage output wise, it wasn't as bad as the other two. Except for the beams and the consistent healing with those certain scenarios, sections. But after that point, it was literally just how fast can you hit. And if you can hit hard, fast enough, it's GG. It's G fucking G. The boss itself, like, dealing with, like, trying to keep the bars of the lasers of damage, that's not too bad. Especially if you have enough, like, AoE to it. Anyway, join the procession and bear witness to a hero's departure. Now, I don't know how I'm gonna go about this. Because there's a lot of ways I can go about this. I can defeat the boss as quickly as I can. Like, there's a lot of things I could possibly do. It comes down to a lot of things. A lot of things.
What would you have me do for Rhodes Island?
We will see how this stage is. I'm hearing that people are having issues.
Permission to attack.
I do know that this is a block stage.
Good scenery here, Doctor.
But this stage you can destroy quickly.
Get around it, guys.
It just comes down to, can you
On your command.
oh shit. Okay. Fuck. That's an issue. Yeah, that's an issue.
They come from the depths of the ocean.
That's gonna be the hindrance is these guys. These guys in the middle are a big pain in the ass. Let's be real here.
We're counting on you again today, little apple.
Fuck. Yeah, that's the issue. Is these guys. I want to do something, but because of everything else spawning in, it's kind of like, well,
It's all right.
fuck
Let
me.
organize the retreat. I leave our next counterattack to you.
'Cause I want to get in there and get shit going, but I can't do that if you have hard-hitting enemies that are Beyblades. That are not really gonna die
Good scenery here,
because less damage overall enemies.
Doctor. Whew, almost dozed off. I have to get serious now. You are the one who woke me.
Bro? What the fuck, game? Wow. Wow. That's the first time
Let me organize
where
the
there's a
retreat.
block stage where the enemy gives no fucks about the block beforehand. That is stupid. Holy fuck, that's stupid. Because if we could just deal with these two, it's GG. Because these guys are going to be the main nuisance. They're going to be like the ones that fuck you over. And because of these guys that just are in there. Huh? Lizzie? Okay.
ターゲットロックオフ。
一気脈来製法循環放煙参加
What the fuck, game?
Almost done. Get around me, guys.
Get behind me. Revital.
Solid positioning.
I'm with you.
Operation commencing. Arc unit. 起動します。I have to get serious now.
You'll have to try harder than that.
My sword is cloaked in stick breath. Go on. It's not as if I'm crushing your throat.
You're not facing downwards? Oh, of course you're not.
I have to get serious now.
You'll have to try harder than that.
Don't be afraid.
I have to get serious now.
I'm with you.
Stop flailing about and do as I tell you.
I wanna get in there. Right?
Counting on you again today, little apple.
Oh my god. This could be done by now.
Can you do it?
I'm with you.
I just do not have the firepower. Oh, now there's even... Okay, yeah, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just gonna defeat this real quickly. No, at least I'm gonna start adding 6 stars.
This shouldn't
The issue is the fact of just everything's like there. Everything is there. Now, I'm not entirely certain on the characters to use. But technically, there's nothing really defending the boss. Those things aren't near the boss, so we could just go absolute ape shit. It just comes down to lots of other things like DPS and like that, and I'm just like, not gonna worry about it too much. What would be the best way to deal with those things? I need to look into them. There is one more enemy type that does spawn. Lovely. They do not have defense. Okay. 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 Gotcha.
take these weapons and tools. We need them more than extra hands.
Did I have S3 on? Fuck.
Extraction commencing. Let's go.
Wrong skill! I have to wait for these guys to pass through, these puny ass bitches. I'm sorry.
Gather around me, guys.
Bro, you thought. You thought. Where you going, mate?
I come from the depths of the ocean.
Oh, right. Yeah, the boss. Okay, let me just do this.
Grasp this tightly in your hand and run. Don't look back. I will take care of
If it ain't anything obvious, I'm not a big fan of the layout and the way they did it, the enemies. The boss, I don't really have any issues once you understand how to deal with it. It's a fucking annoying mechanic it has, but aside from that, it's not really a difficult boss compared to other bosses, especially in integrated strategies. It's the fact of these 4 specific enemies kind of just ruined the beginning. These 4 enemies are there to fuck you up in whatever you thought you can do. Oh, you can destroy the enemy in like a few seconds? Nah, fam. Hold that beer. I want him to... Yes, come on. Come on, bro. Come on. Take your sweet ass time.
You are the one who left me.
The issue is it's up here at the top, bro. We can't do too many.
That's at välja.
We're counting on you again today, little apple. Arts unit.
Get out of my home.
I have to get serious now. 初期化医療プロセス開始します。
No, I can't. I can't do that. I need to bring you out.
You'll have to try harder than that. Stay calm and make your move. No need to worry. I've got your back.
Beginning collection of... Gather around me, guys.
What do you need of me? What do you need? Get out of my home!
I have to get serious now.
Motherland Season's harbor. Reach your hands to me.
I need to make sure she targets this. Because it's not a bad idea, but she's barely doing shit.
Whew. I have to get serious now. Watch. There's me. No, mate. I'm on your right. Whew. Almost does that.
You'll have to try harder than that. 地につき母性転移来い。レファイル。
プログラム治療プロセス開始します。
Yeah, I'm screwed. I need more DPS. What? What? Who's getting stunned?
What happened? This shouldn't have.
I don't think it's half anymore. I think it's 1/3. Or at least roughly 1/3. Which means I'm gonna have to change my game plan yet again. By yet again, I mean we're gonna have to do a lot of crazy shenanigans.
To think they all still believe that blood is not spilled in vain.
Ho una visuale chiara sull'obiettivo della missione. Ha visto.
I know people can do this in like under a minute. Because you could just pretty much bomb rush the boss. But I'm trying not to do that.
私の指示に従ってください。
Why am I trying not to do that? Because that is the easy way out.
We're counting on you again today, little apple.
Do I need to repeat myself?
But if I'm accidentally doing the way it's done, I'm sorry. I actually don't know how it is. Or how it is done.
La fortuna ti ha abbandonato. Ora te la vedrai come.
Oh, okay. Still same issue.
They must.
Still same issue. Like, that doesn't change anything, unfortunately. It's melee in the first phase.
Ho una visuale chiara sull'obiettivo della missione. Avvistamento confermato.
Yeah, I'm gonna go full out. I'm sorry, but...
We all have our roles.
Well, let's be real here. I'm gonna beat this, and I'm not gonna spend too long on this. Okay... I already have a game plan in my mind. I don't know how well that's gonna go, but...
I am ready. Set out.
Ooh, almost. I have to get serious now.
Acknowledged.
Le tue ultime parole? Non mi interessano comunque.
What are you planning? Fool! For what reason hast thou come?
Use your damn skill!
Get serious now.
Assumo le posizioni designate.
Oh, shit.
I come from the depths of the ocean. Target lock on.
Yes, the sunlight will have to.
ロード完了しました。
Le tue ultime parole? Non mi interessano comunque.
Blade wetted again.
プログラム起動します。Please.
No?
Know the results.
Did she do it?
ライムを聞きなさい。
There's a lot of things I do not understand.
Cosa è successo? Più fai veloce, meno farà male.
I'm here to help.
よしとします。気脈内製法縦貫放煙参加。
Oh, I have to get serious now.
Get behind me. Light, heed me. Light, heed me.
私に指図するな。 Oh, I have to get serious now.
Light, heed me.
All those I have yet to abandon.
Humbly awaiting your command. Target lock on.
Le tue ultime parole? Non mi interessano comunque.
Blade wetted again. That is but a sign. Very
Gather around me, guys.
Light, heed me.
Obiettivo avvistato. Ci vorrà solo un minuto. Più fai veloce,
yes.
Can you do it? Almost we're counting on you again today, little apple.
Okay, it's working. I'm not getting stunned.
己が内面と大地を一体化するところにある。
行くよ。私に指図する。一匹も逃げられると思うな。I will stand guard here.
Oh, right, because of fucking A.
Qui non è successo niente.
Made up your mind?
行くよ。私に指図する映画ティーム。Don't be afraid.
The biggest issue.
Problema da risolvere. La fortuna ti ha abbandonato. Ora te la vedrai con me.
Blade wet again.
We're counting on you again.
Ah, girl, you're not supposed to die.
La fortuna ti ha abbandonato. Ora te la vedrai con me.
Yeah, that's the issue. Is I need like it was fine until everything just kind of was like, oh hey, let's just spam rush heal. Yeah, then you won't be able to kill quickly enough because of Patriot. Oh, that I didn't even know fucking spawned in this map. I need more. I need to do more.
Retreat at once, while there's still time.
But I don't even know what the fuck's going on with first phase either, because it's either glitching out or I still do not understand what the fuck this whole cocoon mechanic even does. I don't think that what I was doing was a bad idea. I just don't even know what the fuck was going on with the boss. Because I thought the boss was like, oh, hey, I'm gonna do your cocoon thing on all the operators. And it just doesn't, and it's like, what?
Scenery here, Doctor.
I have a lot of questions with the boss. Like, holy fuck, I have a lot of questions with this boss.
Qui non è successo niente.
Acknowledged.
Beginning collection of battlefield information.
What are you planning? What are you planning? The fool flaunting his gallantry reaches none with his valor.
We're counting on you again today, little apple.
Assumo le posizioni designate.
I come from the depths of the ocean.
Le tue ultime parole? Non mi interessano comunque.
Will the land shake with fury? Or display the land will forgive all men. But not now.
I have to get serious now.
Made up your mind?
リラックスして、リラックス。
Yes.
No, but yes, dude's nothing.
するな。死ね。Fortuna ti abbandona. Ora te la vedrai come. 言われなくても分かってる。
Fuck! I was trying to get her out, but I didn't know what the whole, like, who does what, who fuck what. I guess I know now who fuck what. Wait, she's gonna actually kill herself. Wait. Did I, like, 4D chess this? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, she should off herself, yeah.
Questo ti farà tacere.
You'll have to try harder than that.
I didn't think I 4D chessed it, but holy shit, I 4D chessed it. What the fuck? I kind of want to kill this quicker. Kill her quicker. So... I want to bring another 6-star, but whatever.
Very well.
We'll just do her again.
Fortuna ti abbandona. Ora te la vedrai come.
Show me what you got then.
Okay, so it's the one who's last placed. Gotcha. That is a lot easier than what it really seemed like, because my goodness, the game does not tell you shit.
Made up your mind? Fool. For what reason hast thou come?
Shoots.
Get behind me.
Blade wetted again.
Now I can do this. And then we're gonna go ham-boning. Wheel shortly.
Please, let the turn not rebellious ones. Target. Lock on.
罪に裁きを。ご来光庁。
Yes, I need to use my skill.
Questo ti farà tacere. Assumo le posizioni designate.
Who died? Why did they die?
Solid positioning.
Oh! Yeah, that fuck up earlier is fucking me up now. Yep, that's a GG. That fuck up earlier because I did not understand until finally now on Inferno that it's the last person you place, you take out your GG from the cocoon mechanic is so fucking stupid. The cocoon mechanic in of itself is stupid, but the fact they don't tell you except, oh, the cocoon thing happens. It's like, they don't tell you how it specifically happens. You have to figure that on your own. Which is so ridiculously stupid. But, after you figure it out, it's not that hard of a process.
Nimue, Kaishi. I'm here to help.
And again, I do not know why that's the case. I don't know why Hypergriff made it like that. But I'll take it. Because this is kind of stupid. Also, I don't know why Mjolnir died, by the way. I'm still trying to figure that one out. So... yeah, I'm just gonna have to cycle through.
Acknowledged.
It's interesting that Sylvash actually straight up Oko is one of these guys. Which I actually kind of like a lot.
We're counting on you again today, little apple.
Made up your mind?
The only issue is that he takes forever, but, like, aside from that,
For what
like,
reason hast thou
pretty good.
If you're still hesitating, the wind blows through.
I'll put Mjolnir down.
Stories of ghosts
Okay, take you out. You down.
From the depths of the ocean.
Come on, boy.
We're counting on you again today, little apple.
Yes.
Oh, it almost so goes.
Questo ti farà tacere.
私たちならできます。はい。
Okay.
悪くない場所だ。言われなくてもわかる。俺かもな。I have to get serious now. 私に指図するな。
Get to Muna Rizadel's better. I could. But why would I do that? I'm actually trying to avoid using Rizadel. This is the thing is, I'm not an elitist, which I may sound like one, but I don't have to use Rizadel. I could easily use Rizadel, but I'm planning on not doing that. Plus, I find that it probably, like, I don't know, I'd have to test, but I feel like in certain situations, I think Mjolnir is actually better if used properly.
Today, little apple.
Where, oh, that's why. That's why. I was like, where the fuck is Texas Alter? She's not even on, she's still on the field. I'm actually gonna put you on the field now.
Qui non è successo.
Before
Very well.
Just so that she aggroes. Which is the weird thing about her mechanic.
Minute of your life.
Yep. There she goes.
悪くない場所だ。
She aggroed.
La fortuna ti ha abbandonato. Ora te la vedrai come. Assumo le posizioni designate.
アーツユニット。チャージ中。Care not for valueless ones. プログラム起動します。プログラム起動します。言われなくてもわかる。治療用具。I have to get serious now.
The only issue now is these guys.
Qui non è successo niente.
ライムを聞きなさい。Come on, scientuate tesoro.
Qui non è successo niente.
Use your skill. Use your skill, please.
Acknowledged.
And now she's screwed. I just need you. After she's dead, then this is a GG.
What do you plan? The fool flaunting his gallantry.
GG.
Is not.
Don't need to use Rizado. I'm gonna prioritize not using her unless it's IS. Integrated strategies is fair play, because fuck integrated strategies when they decide to make boss way too strong for their own good. But with this, especially with how the boss mechanic is, I'm no need to use Rizado.
The fiercer the battle, the more jubilant the victory.
Anyway, sorry for the people that cannot beat that stage. There's some people in my community that cannot beat that. And then they're thinking Rizadel, and it's like, you don't need Rizadel. You just need to figure out the whole cocoon mechanic, and then you just need to face tank, instant destroy the boss. Or, I say, instant destroy the boss. Just try your best to do enough damage against the boss as quickly as you can. I did not realize Patriots is in this map. I feel like that is straight up overkill. I know people joke around and play test against Patriot. Overkill. Straight up overkill in my opinion. But then again, I know a lot of people are trying to... I'm not trying to. The developers, my bad, are trying to make this difficult. I feel like they did not like people saying this event was... this episode is easy, which to me, I don't think it was easy. Or as easy as people make it out to be. I think it's, as I keep mentioning before, let's make sure I'm not shitting out of my mouth here.
Oh joy, there's your face again, Doctor. What a great
Let's look here. Let's look here. Yes. So, before you even start episode 2, you unlock episode 14, which I believe is as difficult as episode 5. Which around the time you get to episode 5, you should at least have maybe a decent amount of E2s. Not like a full squad, but a decent amount. And maybe a 6-star E2. Well, depends on how quick you are and how fast you are, in my opinion. But by episode 2, you don't even have an E2. Maybe not an E1. If you're like me, you probably did not have an E1 by that point. The fact you unlock episode 14, which I find to be as difficult as episode 5. Granted, it's episode 5, but still. I don't believe it should be unlocked at 1-10. At least episode 4, episode 5. To me, this is my biggest critique of this, is that I feel I do not understand the thought process of trying to make this for everyone, when everything you can unlock is permanent from the event episode to begin with. So there's no point in trying to make this episode easy, which I think they failed to do that for new players, and then it's like, yeah, it's just, it annoys me so much. A little bit. Like, it's my biggest critique of this, of what they try to do here. I can understand, here's the thing, I can understand if it's a new arc. New arc, new storyline, episode 9, they did this for episode 9. That works. That I could see working. At the end of an act, not an arc, because I think there's gonna be two acts. There's gonna be probably like maybe 4 to 5 more episodes for this, maybe 3. I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 is probably my guess for the remaining of the arc. Because they still have a lot left to do in this arc. Or at least to me, that's what it seems like, because they left a lot of stuff open-ended. Like, we're going to be taking out Thyrsus next episode! And it's just the side story, no next episode 6 months later. Like, that's why I'm thinking we're going to have an Act 4 still be in the Victorian War arc. Regardless, yes, I'm not a big fan of this being done -10. I feel like this is definitely, like, after beating episode 4, works. Regardless, to say that this is easy, I mean, unless you're doing easy mode, which that is the only critique of my critique is easy mode, but I feel like that really shouldn't be the case, because I think you have to do normal mode to even unlock Thyrsa. So it's like, still, what's kind of the point? Unless I'm also mistaken for that, but like, I think you have to do EG-6 and then you unlock Secret Place. I might, or maybe not, I think it's 14-23. But I don't know if that's something you can do for easy mode. That's something I never actually tried to check. But, I could be completely wrong with that, but to me, and let me actually try to see what the difference is. redeployment time is reduced. I'm curious. I honestly, I should make a new account just to see. But then it wouldn't be fair because I've been playing the game for so long. So that's not really, like, the best way to describe it. But everything, like unless they do story mode, I don't know the reward system if standard or not. But the difficulty of standard is around episode 5. So I do not see the need to unlock it at 1-10. I feel like that's way too low of a entry bar. And that's someone who's been playing for some amount of years. I could probably do it myself, but new players, on the other hand, we're talking about new players that just did 1-10. They don't know about shift mechanics. They don't know about placement blocking. They don't, like, what I'm mentioning by that, by the way, is the idea of moving enemies around, or how certain times you can still get an enemy and block them because of the shenanigans of how the game works and how blocking works. And there's so many mechanics that the player hasn't really delved much into. And then it's like, oh, episode 14's unlocked instantly. It's like, wow. That's, I feel like would be too difficult. This, again, I'd have to actually, it's kind of too late at this point, but I would have to do a new account and do story mode just to see if you unlock all the rewards. I would be surprised if that's not the case, because knowing Hypergriff, by the way, Hypergriff does not like to give rewards on easy mode. So I don't expect you to be able to get the 6-star Civil Light Eterna. I don't expect you to get much rewards out of it. To be honest, I don't, like, you're not going to be doing it for the story anyway, because you're skipping from, like, the very beginning of the story to the very end of the halfway point of the second arc. Like, huh? Many players that haven't gotten to the story yet is not going to like that or do that. So it's like, it's mind-boggling why they did it into the first place. If they're trying to do this, like, oh, new players can do this stuff, so don't feel behind. I feel it kind of defeats the purpose of it being, like, episode 14. Like, I can understand maybe going to a new arc because of resources, but I still feel like that's still an issue with, especially, like, going from episode 4 to episode 9 as well. I don't like that, nor do I like the idea of being going from episode 1 to episode 14. And then try to dumb down the difficulty for the new players. I think that ruins the experience. And I don't think the players get any incentive, because they're going to be reading a story they probably don't know. They're going to be dealing with mechanics they probably don't know much about either because they're new players. I'm not going to get, like, here's the thing. If I tried to do it myself to test it out, the issue is that since I've been playing the game for 5 plus, but over 4 years at this point, it's not going to be a fair comparison. And knowing how I was at the beginning of the game, I feel like this is an overstep in terms of them trying to incorporate the new players into what's happening new-wise to make them feel like they're doing something new. And I think that just completely falls on its face. This is something I did talk about in the survey, that I'm not a big fan of 14 being accessible early. I can allow it, or I think it'd be better if it was a new arc. But that's if it's a new arc. And I don't think that's going to be the case with Act 4, because I said before, I think we're halfway through the second major arc here. Granted, I have not read the story because I don't read ahead. I don't see many stages ahead. But from my bare knowledge, especially what I've read from episode 14, there's still more to this arc. But regardless of that, I know I said that multiple times. I'll be fine if it was a new arc. It's not a new arc. I think you shouldn't do it. There we go. Okay, I know I ranted, but I think it is important to mention, to talk about, to know You can of course have your own opinion, say what you want, because I feel like not everyone would agree with that. Maybe, I don't know, personally, but for the players to get Civilized Internet earlier, I don't think it's worth it the way they went about it. Especially because they're also missing the other story characters. So, like, what's the point of just Civilized Interna and then just completely skipping about all the other free welfare characters? Especially if someone maybe actually likes one of the other characters in Civilized Interna for some reason. I don't know. But there might be people that are like that. So to me, I'm not a big fan of the way they handled this episode, especially with the difficulty. Going from episode 13 to this, it's like, did someone smoke crack at Hypergriff and then thought they made them the main head person for episode 14? At the same time, them being a new player or new person at Hypergriff for some reason? I don't know. But I'm curious on what you guys think on if episode 14 should have been available after episode 1, or should have been maybe episode 3 or 4. Though 4 is, I think, a good spot to go skip stages, because I think like the major first roadblock is Frost Nova, in my opinion. Some say Patriot, but I kind of disagree with that, at least to an extent. But the issue with that is new 6 stars. Because of new 6 stars into the focus, that's not as a great, like, episode 4 is losing its touch as like a good like first counter. I mean, you could also argue episode 3, but I don't know. I'm basing a bit of bias and experience from way back in the day. That is also something to take note of, but I think that's kind of obvious. At that time, there was no such thing as a sorter. Sorter is like a year old, like after a year character. But even then, she's like still top meta. So that's something stupid to think about. For those that forgot, that Surtur was before the 1.5 anniversary. Which is kind of crazy to think about, but that's what happened. But regardless. That I talked about in the survey. We're gonna completely get off the topic. If they do it again, I'll express my grievances. Depending on how they go about it. But overall, I mean, granted, you could also make the argument story mode, yes, but there's the idea of the rewards with that system, and does Hypergriff actually give rewards? Which, aside that point, let's talk about the Inferno stages. So for those that missed out on the last live stream yesterday, I did all of the adverse stages, and I did the first 2 Inferno. I feel like the Infernos compared to even adverse is a huge leap. So adverse difficulty, for someone who's been playing for a long time, uses only 4 stars and 5 stars. Compared to even the last few episodes, I would say it's a difficulty of 4 out of 10. These Inferno stages, about a 9 out of 10, maybe a 10 out of 10. Maybe, actually no, lower that. Let me actually go basis by basis of each stage before I actually really get my thoughts, because I don't want to group them all together, because I feel like some stages are a lot harder than others, and some of them are a lot harder for specific reasons. The main gist, all these stages, the enemies hit hard as fuck. Let's be brutally honest. That's what makes them difficult, in my opinion. Compared to even adverse difficulty, especially at the later stages, a lot of those enemies did not hit as hard as the Inferno. Inferno is definitely the general, these sets of stages are the most difficult and are the top of the most difficult stages in Arknights. That's what I think that the plan or game plan or the like design philosophy of the Inferno stage. I call them Inferno stages. People call them different other names. You can go based off of what they're normally called of that episode, like Pharaohs, for example. I call them Inferno. surprised that these stages, these enemies hit so hard that they one-shot some of my operators. Like, I'm looking at Dash 2 as a good example. Like, Telopsis gets one-shot. Telopsis just straight up gets one-shot. And she's module. I don't know if she's max level, but go watch the last live stream. You'll understand that she does not live quickly. From experience, this is one of those stages where you need a better healer. You need a 6-star healer, in my opinion. Or find some way to dodge the enemy's attacks. And with everything that's going on in that stage, there's probably a few characters that would be your best option. And some of those characters I don't have built. So I'm not going to worry too much about trying to do that. I think some people probably can do it without 6 stars, but it just comes down to how long and how much time you're going to do it to do it. And as much as I, to a degree, don't mind and I like other content creators trying to do crazy challenges, at the same time, as a word of advice for every other person that watches that video, do not worry about doing that because that person took hours, maybe days to do that. Are you willing to put hours and days to do something like that as a clear? For me, Dash 1 is a good example of me doing what I usually do for challenge runs, and it probably took me about 30 minutes, maybe an hour. I might be underestimating the amount of time it took, or maybe I'm overestimating. I don't know. But to me, I feel like I kinda lucked out, especially with RNG there. And I feel like Dash 1, I got really lucky in. I'm making that a big emphasis. If you go watch it, you understand. My clear is literally just... fuck. What is his name? I'm actually gonna... I think, can I auto it? I'm curious here. I'm curious if it's actually gonna auto it. Just a showcase. But Enforcer, Niskarm, healers with Ethan and Manticore shenanigans. If you understand, if you figure out like maybe what you can do or the developers intended, you can make all the enemies not do as much damage as they could and just stall out. Now I don't think this will work because of RNG, but this is the team setup I'd be in with Dash 1. Okay, so I might as well start with this one. This one is definitely an 8 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10. Depends upon if you use 6 stars. Maybe 6 stars would be a 6 out of 10. I think going lower for 6 stars is fair, especially with Wizardell. Wizardell completely destroys everything knowledgeable in Arknights. And yes, I know going back to the comment that's also above my head, it's talking about why not use Wizardell. I could definitely use Wizardell. I don't want to be arrogant and say I don't need to use Wizardell. I'm not that, like, I'm that elitist type thing. I don't want to try to be like that, because I know that will kind of show off as that for a lot of people. Especially because most people don't realize, some people think a lot of the content creators and a lot of people in the community are elitists. That's a thing that some people think about in the Arknights community. And that's something that it's like, I'm keep mindful of as well. And it's like, well, sure, I could use Wizardell. You could easily beat the stage with Wizardell. But I feel like you could do it without Wizardell. That's especially with Dash 4 there, at the very end. Why I didn't use Wizardell? I don't need to. I can, but you don't need her. And I think that says a lot with the way Arknights is. There's a lot of tools at your disposal. Especially with my account, I have so many tools at the disposal, I have too much and I forget the tools I have. Okay? I want to make that known. I forget the tools I have because I have too many. Sometimes I forget that Lee exists. Lee destroys some events because he doesn't get frozen or he doesn't get stunned. Or his crowd control is pretty nice in some scenarios, especially in some SSSs in the past. What else? There might be more that I'm not thinking of, but I think Lee comes back to, in my mind, a lot in certain events because of his unique trait of not worrying about being frozen or, you know, stunned. So there's some events where he just kind of destroys the enemy or just gives no fucks about the mechanics. In that regard, it's like, yeah, there's just too many characters I have that I could use. I could just bring get the leap button. There's a lot of delete buttons nowadays. There's so many. I think another one's the Degenbutcher. Third, technically, you could argue, depending upon how you use her. So there's a lot of ways you could go about stages, and I don't think it's fair to say that, to like say, oh no, 6 stars. Because there's a lot of 6 stars that are not as strong as some other characters, and I don't want to try to be that elitist.
みんな僕のルートに沿って行動してね
But at the end of the day, it also doesn't really matter that I care about being elitist, no. But it's something that I feel like Arknights community needs to do a better job in. Because there's a bit of, like, a lot of that in the Arknights community. Of, like, almost arrogance. It's like, I don't want to be that guy, but I do... Okay, I don't know who's dying or who's living. Everything looks fine, I guess. Let's see if I do beat this. But to a certain degree, I do think the Arknights community can be a bit arrogant and a bit elite in their thought process. But at the same time, that's not always the case. I want to mention that briefly because I think that is something to take into consideration.
I shall cover you. Light, heed me.
I'll be surprised if I actually beat this. And this is actually a perfect auto. But as you can see here, this is literally just the Ambusher combo wombo. Ethan with the binds and Manticore with the slows down speed, and then you have the AoE arts high damage. And then Enforcer just to continuously push and stun. Like this enough, these tools are enough to beat the stage. Of course, you have to also bring other characters in just to handle some of the enemies. Yeah, so I use Spectre there. Spectre can handle the Beyblades. She can help slow down.
Don't be afraid.
There is a bit of block shenanigan use as well.
This is as far as you go.
Thunder roar.
Be careful not to fall.
Oh, Spectre's supposed to be dead. But at this point, this is GG because there's no Beyblades. But I think this is, yeah, this is it. So this is how I beat it. This is the strategy I use. It's literally just stall out until they're dead. And that strategy is very effective in a lot of stages. I'm gonna be really honest. Unless, like, there's a lot of AoE or enough hard hitting, generally, this should work. The only issue is that I feel like I'm going to... we'll have to see how this goes, because there's no one really attacking, so they're not really taking any damage. Yeah, this is almost a perfect clear. It's just that because at the time, there's a bit of that RNG, but this is still working. Okay, game. I feel like at this point, if the enemies go through, they'll probably kill themselves. But we just have enough healing that even with the RNG being, like, scuffed as hell, still works. In that scenario, I don't have to stall kill them, or just RNG stall kill them. At this point, you kind of understand how this goes. There's no way they can kill. I don't change anything, so these guys will eventually die. This is not how it went, because at this point, they're dead. Because of, Liscarp. Not Liscarp, Lizai. But that just kind of showcases how I went about that map. The enemies, if you don't allow some of those enemies to get into the red mist, so the chimeras, they don't hit as hard. Fun fact, arts hurts a lot of the time. So you can completely and utterly base tank can stall to death if you deal with the Beyblades and you don't have any of the red mist getting contact with the Chimeras. That's the general gist of the map. If we do those two things, you can essentially kill everything eventually. Now, the other stages I use 6 stars just because of how hard the enemies hit. So, without 6 stars, probably an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. With 6 stars, probably a 6 or a 7 out of 10. Nash 2, I feel like it's the same case without 6 stars. But with 6 stars, I would argue this stage, with specific 6 stars like Myanmar, this goes to a 2 out of 10. This stage is fucking easy! Holy shit! If you have Nightingale, Myanmar, and a way to deal with these guys with ease, like 2 lane holders, you're done with the stage. The stage is no issue for you. This is probably one of the easiest Inferno stages. But if you don't have those specific operators in that specific way, this stage will utterly fuck you over and hit you hard. So hard, in fact, you'll be the Doctor with amnesia. That's a great way to think about it. But kinda, mostly joking aside here, the enemies hit hard arts-wise, so you can pretty much not worry at all with Nightingale. Nightingale legitimately just completely T-poses over the stage. Dash 3. We just did that today. I did this with... who was it again? Lin, Björnar as the 6 stars, the rest are 5 stars. This one is probably the second hardest stage. Just, well, I say that, yeah. Yeah, kinda. Kinda, because the amount, I would say leading up to the boss, that you get hit hard, especially the last wave of lasers. It's so hard, there's a good chance you straight up just lose. Because the lasers hit you so hard, and then enemies get through. Or you might have to retry. If you can somehow stall enough, and then eventually, destroy the last laser, you can essentially get back to it, I guess. But that's, like, very specific scenario, and I don't expect anyone to easily get to that point. Overall, if you have a good, solid setup and a good positioning, you're fine. The lasers will only hit one enemy unless the Revenant spawned in, and when the Revenant's in, then all enemies take damage from the laser. All operators take damage from the laser. So, generally, like, the very first phase of the fight, quote-unquote, just have someone tanky enough in front so that your healers don't die. That's essentially the strategy. Like, this boss is not difficult. Like, this is probably one of the easier bosses Arknights released. The only difficulty is the enemies that hit hard, or just, like, the Purified Sodam with the Chalice of Mortality is, like, a dirty move. It's a really strong combo. But the Revenant itself, and handling the Revenant, and how you can switch the things to continue... essentially, Kingdom Hearts 3 ending, prevailing with hope and friendship damage. That's how I'm gonna base it off of, because that's what it reminds me of. Like, the boss itself is not difficult. I feel like this is a more fun boss that I would like to see more of, similar to the deer dude in Hortus de Escapissimo. Lots in there. Not good at it. But, it's coming back. It is coming back. We control with the boss now with Chu, but aside from that, it's kind of similar to him in terms of, like, the boss isn't the main threat, and the mechanics of how to deal with it make it, it's the other enemies involved that make it difficult, not the boss itself. And generally, the boss itself, dealing with the boss is easy and more fun. Though, it is maybe, actually, might be either the third difficult or the second most difficult, considering 6 stars is the picture. Without 6 stars, I feel like getting to, like, the 4th laser wave is almost impossible to live through. maybe with really strong positioning, you could probably I might be overplaying the difficulty, honestly. But the amount of AoE you need to do kind of makes me feel like this is kind of sketch. Like, because I have Lin. Lin is pretty much just hitting these three. Mjolnir is hitting these two. And then everyone else is just doing their own thing, and kind of, some of them are just mainly focusing on one of them. I did switch out for several characters, like I took out, Ethan for Liskarm and faced Liskarm down to help deal damage against this one, and so on and so forth. So I did switch characters around, so I hit more often just to get these more activated quickly. But even with the fact that you have Mjolnir's time to recharge, and then you have Lin's, and that was all I really need. Like, because of that, it's like I don't want to rank it too high difficult, but it's still difficult because some of the enemies in there are the main threat, and they do hit hard, but not as hard as argue Dash 2 or Dash 1. So I'm back and forth. Like, the lasers are the threat, not the boss, and then you have the enemies that are second threat, but are more of a threat than the boss itself also. So it's like, I would say maybe the third most difficult. So probably Dash 2, Dash 3, Dash 1, and then Dash 4. The fact that I've been hearing a lot of issues with Dash 4, and I can understand why, because I just beat it. Dash 4 is an interesting thing, because it's like, the way they handled it, but because you're on a time limit too, you can't just do whatever the heck you want. So that's what makes it so difficult, because you can't just wait out. And then they send another boss. So it's like, I didn't even realize Patriot was in the stage until probably the third clear before, third attempt, I should say, before my first clear. And it's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to restart, but holy shit. Being a block stage, I don't feel like it helps. I think that hurts you more than helps. Because that's more of like a nuisance and like a thing you have to focus on every time. But anyway, yeah, I think Dash 4 is the most difficult. Going back to Dash 3, difficulty-wise, I think the same 9 out of 10. I don't know, maybe 10 out of 10 without 6 stars. 6 stars, it might be tied for second. I keep going back and forth, but I did it with only 2 stars, 2 6 stars. So it'd probably be 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. You can make it a lot easier, but that's just based off the experience. Dash 4. Difficulty-wise, I think a 10 out of 10 if you don't use 6 stars. Just so far. And then probably 8 out of 10 with 6 stars. I used a lot more 6 stars. And I not use the best of the best. I mean, I say that, but I did use Surtur, but 5, 6 stars. I could probably use the other characters a lot better. But if I compare to like past Inferno stages, I feel like I had a more aggravating time doing 13. But I think 12's Dash 4 Inferno is by far the most difficult ever. There's a lot of restrictions, extremely difficult. The enemy is buffed to hell and back. There is so much to that stage that I would say that's way more difficult than Dash 13 and Dash 4. Dash 13, I would say, is more difficult than Dash 4 still. The fact that you can completely ignore the enemies and just kind of bomb rush through the boss, the fact that that exists and completely makes every other enemy irrelevant, especially having another boss, that alone kinda makes me want to say it is. It makes it easy. It's easier than most because you can completely ignore like a decent bit of enemies, and there's ways you can handle doing damage and dealing with the boss at the same time. Like, because of how the boss works and like that, and the fact that I didn't really have a hard time trying to keep people alive, even with using 6 stars. Some of these 6 stars I don't think are as tanky. I mean, I'm looking at Silver Ash here. Silver Ash even has his module, which probably would have allowed him to do more damage anyway. Which I probably will eventually get around to his module, but I'm trying to build Logos, so who knows when that'll happen. But we're using a year 1 operator that's still pretty good. Mjolnir meta, Surtur meta, Texas you could argue meta, but then again, like, the meta of CN in their thought process, or at least whoever made the thing, it's all over the place. So it's like, I don't know if this is like a fair comparison, honestly. Especially with the meta and what's the best and tier less, and at the end of the day, it's subjective. So it's up to you to think. But I feel like the 6 stars I use all had their own pros that completely made me deal with the boss, this stage, really easily. Not a full 6-star squad, by the way. Not a full 6-star squad. Wouldn't even use Lizai. I don't remember using... No, I did use Lizai, because it was at the very end where I was trying to deal with enemies, and she was kind of like the last bastion of dealing with the 2 enemies, almost killing the boss. I think trying to deal with the boss before like the second wave of enemies spawn in and get into the second phase is the best idea, because those fidget spinners will just give her more HP back, which means she'd be harder to kill, which generally is not the best idea. But it is nowhere near Dash 13. Dash 13, I did, I think I talked about it because I redid this stage for the video itself, not on stream because I wasn't streaming. And I pretty much was like, yeah, I had to kind of see what people were doing because I was stumped, because that stage is insane. I mean, I did not get stumped on Dash 12, but I feel like Dash 12 is way more difficult. But Dash 13 was also extremely difficult. And then, remember how I talked about earlier, how V is a tool that I keep forgetting about? Yeah, I pretty much used Lee, and I was able to deal with Dash 13 Inferno easily. It was like, after that point, it was like the stars aligned, and Lee just kind of kicked ass. But regardless, Dash 4 does not hold a candle to Dash 13 or 12. But maybe 11 as well. Maybe 11. Maybe 11. Even then, I had ways to deal with the Steam Knight easily. Even though I feel like Steam Knight's insane. But I had ways to deal with it. But then again, I didn't really have too much issues. Like, there was Manticore. I was using Manticore at that point. Like, I didn't have much of an issue. It wasn't as bad as I make it out to be nowadays. But it's even not as bad anymore anyway because of the 6 stars released. So I would say, in terms of this act, because I think the next main episode will be the next act. Okay, I might as well get out of this. That was Dash 4, by the way. So, which one had the most difficult Inferno? Dash 12. Well, let's stop here. Dash 12. Then Dash 13. Then I would say Dash 14. I mean, yeah, I would say 14 is probably the third most difficult. And then 9. I actually think around that time, 9 was actually pretty difficult. I would have this at the 4th. The 5th. I think Dash 10 was the easiest. Infernos. Just because of the cannon is a tool that you can use. And there's a lot of ways to deal with the last stage. Especially, I was pretty much giving people advice on the Inferno stage. It was like, it's difficult, but there's a lot of ways you could deal with the stage. To the point where, like, there's at points I was using Effia to clear the stage. At times, the first clear was like with Gnosis. Other times, it was some other character with some different ways to use it, and just helping people out. Like, Teshton, by far, was the easiest Inferno stages. So that's where I would rank Act 2's. I keep saying Act 4, but technically it said this is like the start of the act. I'm gonna say Act 0. I'm making this Act 1, my bad. So it's Act 3, that's the next main episode stuff. Act 2, that's where I would rank, difficulty-wise. I think the fact that episode 12, by far, has one of the hardest stages just in general, in Arknights. Testament of the difficulty. Now, if I went back to these episodes with the released characters we have nowadays, that wouldn't really be the case. I feel like a lot of them would actually be easy territory, but just based off when I cleared them at that point in time, that's where I would rate them.
Oh joy, there's your face again, Doctor. What a great start for the day.
Okay. At this point, I've ranted for so long that I think it's best that we start to end the stream off here. We've gone through both Inferno stages. Honestly, it's hard to really say what would be the best advice for Dash 4. Aside from the fact of having a character that's AoE that could do multiple damage for many enemies, and at least taking care of one of the Calamity damage reduction enemies out first, so you can start doing damage, and quick. I think that's the best way to go about it, but you're essentially trying to multitask with multiple enemies at once. But once you kind of get a flow of the stage, Dash 4 isn't as bad as some people were making out to be.
You can sleep when I'm around, huh?
I was using 6 stars,
We make sure you
but
don't.
other people that are doing the stage are probably using whatever the heck they want. So taking that into account, like, it is a totally different field entirely. I think it really does kind of come around to, like, trying to weasel your way in order with the damage reduction enemies, and trying to kill the boss quickly. And understanding that killing the boss quickly ends the stage. Which is the only reason why that stage is... Both of those Inferno stages are actually easy in comparison to past Inferno stages. Maybe you could make the argument, if you use any 6 star you want and you went ham, that episode 14 would be the easiest. Then episode 5. Not episode 5, episode 9. Not episode 9, episode 10, fuck. And then so on and so forth. You can make that argument. But using all 6 stars, including like Rizadol as a use case... Yeah, that's something that you would have to test out, and that's way too much at this point. I think I should just shut up, and we're gonna start to end the stream off here. If you guys enjoyed today's live stream, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, /follow, and below is Discord to do. Please go check it out. Aside from that, go look at your summons, go to chanting, be safe and be healthy, and I will see you all in some stream in the future. Don't know when, but I'll let you guys know when I decide to do stream.
You can sleep when I'm around, huh?
Don't know if we're gonna be doing anything like Phasmophobia in the near future, but again, who knows? I may or may not. We'll see. I will let you guys know what I decide to do. Until then, peace.